Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
Hey, y'all put a little stank fan on the track.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hephzibah if you are new. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about the recruiting process and what that looks like for two companies. I finished recruiting sort of back in September, so this video is a long time coming, but here we are. I want to talk about what my experience looked like so you can know what to expect in yours. So I recruited with Accenture, which is a consulting company, and then with Jpmorgan Chase & Co., which is a bank and financial service firm. So the recruiting process for these two companies did look pretty different, as they are like completely different companies and require different things out of people. So yeah, I'll just go through both of those and then at the end let y'all know what I plan to do next summer. So let's get right into it. So the first company we're going to go over today is Jpmorgan. Going into this recruiting process, I was a little more familiar with the company because I interned with them last summer. However, even though I interned, it was the summer after my sophomore year, and that program didn't do like return offers. So everyone in the program, if you wanted to come back the next year, you had to go through the recruiting process just like everybody else. So I applied in August, which is sort of early. The applications open, I think, early August or late July. So I applied pretty early. So on the website, I just applied through there. However, I applied to the corporate analyst development program, but even though I applied to that, I also applied to Launching Leaders, which is like a professional development day, basically, where you kind of learn more about the program you're applying to, learn more about Chase, learn about just the values of the firm, and then you end the day doing interviews. You end with a super day. So you apply to your program, and I also applied to Launching Leaders so that I can interview through there. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of complicated, but it's basically one day where you just sit through a bunch of speakers and presentations, and then you have a super day at the end of the day. So I applied to there, and so the application is the same. You submit your application with just like a resume drop and then some background information, and then you complete a Pymetrics test, which is like a bunch of games, like brain games, I guess, that test the way you think, and they just really want to understand, like, if you're a risk taker, if you're an analyzer, like, do you work well with others, like that sort of thing. There's no like right or wrong answers on the test. You just play the games. And then along with the Pymetrics, you do a hire review interview, which is a virtual interview. There's no person like involved. Like, you do it on your computer or your phone, and then the computer will pop up a question, or like it'll have a pre-recorded person saying the question, and then you answer it, and then it sends your videos to the hiring team at the company. So I think we'll do a whole nother video on the interview process of a Chase, since I do get a lot of questions about that too. So stay tuned for that. So after the hire review, the Pymetrics, and like the application itself, that's when your application is fully done. Your application is not complete until you do the Pymetrics and hire review. So once I completed that, maybe about 1 to 2 weeks later, I got the email saying, okay, I was accepted into the Launching Leaders program, and then I would have my interviews there, and it would be a super day. So I had my interviews end of August. So I applied mid-August. I had my interviews end of August because I remember school had started. So I interviewed. The super day consisted of 2 interviews back to back, and they were 30 minutes each. And then before the interviews, it was maybe like 2 to 3 hours of presentation, sitting, hearing, listening to recruiters, listening to people who participated in the internship that the Launching Leaders is for. So this one, in this case, CADP, and then we ended with the interviews. And that was pretty simple. It was a total of maybe like 4 hours, but it went by pretty quickly. And the interview was straightforward. The questions, since the role I was applying for wasn't like a tech interview, my questions weren't technical at all. It was general like interview questions. So at the end of the interviews, they let you know, or they let me know that, okay, you'll hear back within the next week. And so the next week, I did end up getting a call, and Chase is, I guess, respects you enough to call you whether you get it or not. And so they called me letting me know that I did receive an offer, and that I would get the physical offer in the next like 1 or 2 weeks. And so then I did, and that was pretty much the end of that process. So I feel like Jpmorgan was very straightforward, very standard, from person to person. Even throughout the process, if you have questions for the recruiter, for really like anyone, they're pretty quick with communication to get back to you. So yeah, it was a pretty simple process. I enjoyed it. It was fine. There was not really any complications. So that was Chase. And so moving on to Accenture. Okay, so with Accenture, my experience is not only like different from the way they did Chase, but different than the standard recruiting process. And that's because I participated in the ASAP program, which is the Accenture Student Empowerment Program. And it was basically like, it wasn't an internship, it was like a leadership or a professional development program. So it was just a series of like meetings throughout the summer. It was all virtual, just a series of webinars and stuff like that. And like they set you up with a mentor, buddy, like that sort of thing. So because I participated in that, I skipped the application and the first round interview, and I automatically was at the final interview. And this was because I applied to ASAP in the traditional way. So like to apply to ASAP, this was during my sophomore year. So I did the application, which is basically just a resume drop and like your background information. And then they didn't do a hire review or anything like that, like Chase, but then you had a first round interview with a person. It was like over Microsoft Teams, so it was like a video call interview. So I had that, and then I got into ASAP. And so because of that, like then I just moved on to the final round. So without ASAP, like that's what the process would look like. You apply, you do first round, and then you move on to final round. So that was like the order of mine. And so by the time I got to the final round interview, this is, I think, what makes it the most different. So as Accenture is a consulting firm, a lot of consulting companies do case interviews, but Accenture is actually like trying to stray away from that. So theirs was different. It was a 1 hour interview and it was like 3 parts. There was a presentation aspect to it. There was like scenario-based questions, and then like maybe some behavioral questions at the end, or like maybe those categories were switched, but that was like the gist of it. So I had to get like maybe two or 3 days before the interview, they let you know the options you have to give a presentation about. And so they gave me mine. I was like, oh, it was kind of really weird to me. I had never heard of anything like it. So I had to do a presentation on some sort of technology that's development, that's like, what was it? Like disruptive innovation, basically. And so I gave my presentation in the interview, like I prepped my slides, and then I presented to the interviewer. Then he asked me a couple of questions about my presentation, and then we moved on to the next part. So instead of doing a traditional case, like you would find in like those case study books, like case in point and stuff, he would ask me scenario-based questions. So if you were at the workplace and your coworker did this, like how would you react? What would the steps take for you to do? What would be the next steps that you take? If you had a client and they did XYZ, like how would you react? How would you respond? So that would be those types of questions. And then at the end, it was more just like questions about myself and like how I like think about things. So it's pretty simple. It was a long interview. It was different than I had experienced before, but like that's what it was like. So then after the interview, they didn't let me know like when I'd hear back, but I was just like, okay, I'll probably hear back in the next couple of weeks. And so this interview was in August as well. It's probably the same week of like my CADP interview. Like it's probably the same, like it was around the same time. So I interviewed then, like they didn't let me know when I didn't hear back, but I was just waiting. I was like, okay. September rolls around. Still haven't heard anything. Like other people in the ASAP program also were like, like, have y'all heard back? No one has heard anything. Like some people would email like the head of ASAP. I don't want to just throw her under the bus, but they would email everyone in ASAP, wouldn't hear back, or she'd be like, we'll let you know soon. We got to the point, like maybe this was end of September, early October, no one still had heard back, and she was still like, yeah, stop asking me, you'll know when you know, type stuff. But all while this was going, I was still having my meetings with like my ASAP mentor, my ASAP buddy, so things were going fine on my end. I was like, okay, I'll hear back when I hear back. And then I think mid-October is when I finally got the call from my campus recruiter that I received the Accenture offer. So overall, the Accenture like recruiting process, I felt like it was more difficult because even when I was going through the ASAP program, like there was a lot of lack of communication. So even through ASAP, there would be emails that would be sent out that I wouldn't receive. Like there's another, I have a friend that goes to UT as well, and she was in ASAP and she wouldn't receive emails too, but other people would. Like we had a group meet with everyone in it, and like there was just a lot of like miscommunication, which I thought was like, I understand like we're in the pandemic, but it's like y'all are a consulting company, like you can like get it together. Like I feel so bad saying this, but like, yeah, there's a lot of miscommunication, which I was like, okay, there shouldn't be this many like problems. Like, it's the middle of summer. This started in like, Corona got deep in March. Like, y'all should be able to pick up the slack by now. So like, even once I finished my interview and like the fact that I didn't know information for the longest time, that was really like put me off of them, because it was just weird. I was like, oh, y'all are too grown for this. So that was my experience with Accenture. I know other people have good experiences with them, but I was just kind of over it by the time that I got the call and the offer came around, because I had already gotten my Chase offer by then. And so if you can't guess by now, I ended up going with the Jpmorgan offer. So I'm going to be working in the corporate analyst development program next summer in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. I really hope this video helped you guys. I hope it really like explain what the order of the process is like. If you have any questions that are like, you want specific details about like the questions that they ask me in the interview, or like what the hire review is like, or the application, any advice on that. If you want any tips on your resume, I actually do resume reviews, so you can click the link down below and I'll do like a resume review for you. Or if you would like a one-on-one session where we go over your resume, I also would do that. If you want to go over your LinkedIn, I provide a lot of different like consultation services. So definitely check out the link in the description box. Yeah, so just let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'll see you guys next time. I hope that video made sense.